Greetings, film fans. I'm John Campia, senior editor of AMC Movie News. Well, as most of you know, last week we learned that Disney had purchased Lucasfilm and is planning on bringing us Star Wars Episode 7 in 2015. This obviously has a lot of us extremely excited, none more so than me, and has started a massive online frenzy of people making a case for who they think should direct the next installment, or installments, of our beloved Star Wars universe. Some names are great. Some names, in my opinion, make absolutely no sense. So I thought I'd take some time today to run down for you the top 5 directors who you should and 5 popular directors who you should not have on your Star Wars directors wish list. In this video, we're just going to look at the 5 popular directors that you should not have on your Star Wars directors wish list. To watch me run down the top 5 directors who you should have on your list, just click on the link that you see below. Now, I'm going to be using 3 very important pieces of criteria for evaluating who should and who should not direct the next Star Wars. The first criteria is talent. Obviously, we want the next Star Wars director to be an extremely gifted and talented director. Secondly, a good fit. Does the director in question have a style that is a good and consistent fit for the Star Wars universe? Paul Giamatti is one of my absolute favorite actors today. He's amazing. But that doesn't mean I'd want him to play Cyclops in the next X-Men film. It's not a good fit no matter how good he is. My third criteria is plausibility. Is it even remotely realistic to hope or think that this person could direct the next Star Wars? Hey, it's wonderful that you want Alfred Hitchcock to direct Episode 7, but it just ain't gonna happen for obvious reasons. So, keeping in mind the 3 criteria of talent, fit, and plausibility, let me start by running down for you your 5 popular directors that I believe you should not have on your Star Wars directors wish list. Starting at number 5, Joss Whedon. Is he talented enough? Absolutely. You should know that with or without the Avengers. But all Joss Whedon projects have a Joss Whedon kind of winking at the camera a little bit feel to them that I'm not completely convinced would fit in with the existing Star Wars universe. But more importantly than that, Joss Whedon's name completely fails the plausibility test. Whedon is going to be eating, sleeping, and breathing the Marvel Universe and the Avengers 2 for the next 3 years. With the Avengers 2 and Star Wars Episode 7 slated to come out in the exact same year, it is simply a physical impossibility for Whedon to do Episode 7. So just take him off your list right now. Number 4, James Cameron. Talented enough? No doubt. A good fit? I'm not totally sure about that, but an argument could certainly be made that he is. But much like Joss Whedon, there is simply no version of reality where Cameron would even be able to do it, even if he wanted to. With his upcoming 2 Avatar sequels that he's working on, and having already announced that he'll be doing The Informationist after the Avatar films, it's just not possible to even dream about Cameron doing it. So again, just scratch him off your list, it ain't gonna happen. Number 3, J.J. Abrams. Talented enough? Well, even though I'm not a super fan of his movie Super 8 at all, his work on Star Trek alone is enough to convince me that he has the talent to do a Star Wars film. But is it plausible that he could do it? Abrams is a huge Star Wars fan and a huge George Lucas fan, and the timing seems to work in such a way that he could do it, although many people will point out the difficulty there would be for him to do both Star Trek and Star Wars. It's a hard sell to fans to have the same guy who does one to also do the other. So in the world of reality that we're living in, I'm not sure he could do it. Also, I just don't see a fit here. The style that JJ has that makes him so good in his own films, that's really fun and really interesting, I think precludes him from being a fit for Star Wars. Number 2, Peter Jackson. Talent? No question about it. The Lord of the Rings are some of the greatest movies ever made, and The Hobbit is absolutely my most anticipated film of the year. Although I will admit I didn't really care too much for King Kong or The Lovely Bones. But in the midst of all his brilliance, I just don't see anything to suggest that his style would seamlessly work with the existing Star Wars universe. I think he could do sci-fi genre films without breaking a sweat, but the Star Wars universe has its own style and temperature that I don't think Peter would fit into. Also, he's got 3 Hobbit films to finish and release over the next few years, so Jackson is just completely implausible. It absolutely just can't work. And the number 1 director you should not have on your Star Wars wish list? Christopher Nolan. We shouldn't even have to have a discussion on if he's talented enough. I'd suggest that he's probably one of the top 3 best directors working in the business today. And I'd say that with or without the Batman films. Memento, Insomnia, The Prestige, Inception, all these films make him one of the best out there. I also think he's plausible. Yes, he's working on other stuff, but nothing that he couldn't drop to do a Star Wars film if he wanted to. However, more than any other director on this list, Christopher Nolan is a complete mismatch for the Star Wars universe. When you look at all of his films, the ones that I've mentioned as well as the Batman franchise, you immediately see his tone, his style, his feel are absolutely perfect for his films, but I'd suggest completely night and day when held up to Star Wars. It just simply does not fit at all. If you were rebooting Star Wars, maybe that could work because then you could introduce a completely new feel for the universe. But if this is episode 7, there has to be some consistency and continuity with the existing world. And in my opinion, as completely brilliant as Christopher Nolan is, he just would not work for Star Wars Episode 7. So to recap, while I think that Joss Whedon, James Cameron, J.J. Abrams, Peter Jackson, and Christopher Nolan are all incredibly talented, I just don't think you should have them on your Star Wars wish list for either good fit reasons or plausibility reasons. So what do you think? What do you think of my list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And listen, take a moment and click the subscribe button to subscribe to our AMC YouTube page. Thanks a lot for joining me. I'm John Campia for AMC Movie News.